There is no coming to consciousness without pain. Carl Jung. 3 a.m. Elon Musk is tweeting again. The stock drops. Advertisers flee. His own board begs him to stop, but he can't. Another late-night rant. Another public meltdown. Another $1 billion lost. Why does the richest man in the world keep sabotaging himself? In our Shadow Self video, we explored how the parts you reject end up controlling you. Today, we're looking at how this plays out in real life. With someone the entire world is watching. This is the story of Elon Musk, not the carefully crafted persona you see in interviews, but the shadow behind the genius, the darkness that fuels the rockets and burns the empire at the same time. Let's begin where all shadows begin. Childhood. South Africa. 1970s. A small boy who reads 10 hours a day. Elon Musk was different. Quiet. Lost in science fiction novels while other kids played outside. And they noticed. The bullies always notice. One day, a group of boys found him alone. They beat him, threw him down a flight of stairs. He was hospitalized for a week. Years later, he would need surgery to fix his breathing because of that attack. But the physical pain wasn't the worst part. The worst part was waiting for someone to protect him. And no one came. His mother was a model, often traveling. His father, Elon Musk, was there physically, but absent emotionally. Worse, he was cruel. Elon later described his father as one of the worst human beings he'd ever known. Errol belittled him, told him he was worthless, that he would never amount to anything. A child can't fight back against a parent, so he did the only thing he could. He read. He buried himself in books, Isaac Asimov, Robert Heinlein. Stories about humans colonizing space, building impossible things, proving everyone wrong. This is where Elon's shadow formed. The rejected parts. The weakness he couldn't show. The anger he couldn't express. The desperate need to prove his father wrong. Carl Jung said the shadow is created in childhood when we learn which parts of ourselves are unacceptable. For Elon, weakness was unacceptable. Vulnerability was unacceptable. Needing help was unacceptable. So he buried those parts deep. And like all buried things, they didn't disappear. They grew in the dark, waiting for the moment to emerge. That moment came sooner than anyone expected. 1999. Elon is 28 years old. He's just sold his first company, Zip2, for $300 million. Most people would retire. Elon starts another company, X.com. Online banking, revolutionary for its time. X.com merges with a competitor to become PayPal. Elon becomes CEO. He's aggressive, demanding, pushing the company toward his vision of a global financial system. And then, the board turns on him. While Elon is on his honeymoon, the board votes to remove him as CEO. They say he's too aggressive, too reckless. They replace him with someone safer. Elon is devastated, betrayed. Again. But here's where the shadow shows its power. Most people would quit, take their money, move on. Elon did something different. He stayed, worked under the new CEO, waited, watched. And when PayPal was sold to eBay in 2002, Elon walked away with $180 million. The board thought they were getting rid of a problem. Instead, they created something far more dangerous. They gave the shadow fuel. Elon learned a lesson that day. Never let anyone have control over you again. Never trust a board. Never show weakness. And most importantly, prove them all wrong. That lesson would drive everything that came next. 2002. Elon has money. Most people would invest it safely. Elon does the opposite. He puts everything into two impossible companies: Tesla, making electric cars when everyone said it couldn't be done, and SpaceX, building rockets when NASA had a monopoly and every private space company had failed. 2008. Both companies are on the edge of bankruptcy. Tesla is bleeding money, the Roadster is delayed, the board wants to remove Elon as CEO. Again. This time, he fights. He refuses to leave, sleeps on the factory floor, works 100-hour weeks, forces the company forward through sheer willpower. SpaceX is even worse. 3 launches, 3 failures, millions of dollars burning up in the atmosphere. Elon has 1 launch left, $20 million. If it fails, SpaceX dies. Everyone is watching, waiting for him to fail. Just like in childhood, just like at PayPal. And this is where the shadow becomes his superpower: the rejected anger, the suppressed rage at everyone who ever doubted him, the need to prove his father wrong, to prove the PayPal board wrong, to prove the entire world wrong. It all channels into focus. September 28th, 2008. Falcon 1 launches. The first 3 stages work perfectly. The payload reaches orbit. SpaceX becomes the first private company to reach space. 2 months later, NASA awards SpaceX a $1.6 billion contract. Tesla survives, goes public, becomes the most valuable car company in the world. Elon's shadow didn't destroy him. It made him unstoppable. But here's the thing about shadows. They don't stay quiet. They don't ask permission. And when you give them power, they want more. The question isn't whether the shadow will emerge. The question is, can you control it when it does? For Elon, the answer was waiting on Twitter. April 14th, 2022. Elon offers to buy Twitter for $44 billion. Why? Officially, for free speech, to save civilization, to protect democracy. But the real reason, the shadow needed a new battlefield. Tesla was successful. SpaceX was successful. The board, the doubters, the haters, they'd all been proven wrong. The shadow had won. But shadows don't retire. They need conflict. They need someone to fight. And Twitter gave Elon the entire world to argue with. October 27th, 2022. The deal closes. Elon walks into Twitter headquarters carrying a sink. "Let that sink in," he tweets. Then he fires half the staff. Then 75%, then 80%, thousands of people gone in weeks. He sends an email. Going forward, to build a breakthrough Twitter 2.0 and succeed in an increasingly competitive world, we will need to be extremely hardcore. He sleeps at the office, tweets at 3 a.m., picks fights with journalists, advertisers, former employees, changes the verification system overnight, renames Twitter to X. Advertisers flee. Billions in revenue disappear. The stock, if it were public, would have crashed. And Elon can't stop. This is shadow possession, not shadow integration. In our Shadow Self video, we talked about the difference. Integration means you're aware of the shadow, you channel it consciously. Possession means the shadow is driving, and you're just along for the ride. Elon is being driven. He picks unnecessary fights. He tweets things that hurt his own companies. He alienates allies. He makes enemies out of people who wanted to help him. Why? Because the shadow doesn't want peace. It wants war. It was formed in childhood in violence and betrayal. It learned that the world is hostile, that people will hurt you, that the only way to survive is to strike first. And now, with the biggest megaphone in the world, the shadow is screaming. Let's step back and look at the pattern. Success, followed by self-destruction, followed by rising again. At PayPal, he succeeded, got kicked out, and came back richer than before. At Tesla, the company nearly went bankrupt, but survived and became the most valuable car company in the world. At SpaceX, there were 3 failures before one success, and now the company dominates the space industry. Twitter, bought for $44 billion, destroyed half its value. Still there, still fighting. In our Heroes Become Villains video, we explored this pattern. How people walk the hero's journey but return with darkness instead of light. Elon keeps walking the journey, but he can't complete it. He reaches the abyss, stares into it, and instead of transforming, he brings the abyss back with him. Why? Because the shadow was never integrated. It was only channeled, used as fuel, but fuel that's never refined burns dirty. It gets you where you need to go, but it poisons everything around you. Elon creates enemies because the shadow needs them. The doubters, the haters, the regulators, the journalists. Without enemies, the shadow has nothing to fight. And if it has nothing to fight, it turns inward. That's the real danger. Not that the shadow will destroy Tesla or SpaceX, but that it will destroy Elon himself. We've seen this before. Brilliant people who couldn't stop, who kept pushing until they broke. Howard Hughes, Nikola Tesla, Kanye West. The question isn't whether Elon is a genius. He clearly is. The question is whether genius requires this level of chaos, or whether the chaos is the price he's paying for never facing his shadow directly. So, what do we learn from Elon Musk? First, the shadow can be a superpower. Elon's rage, his need to prove everyone wrong, his inability to accept failure, these things built SpaceX and Tesla. Without his shadow, none of it happens. But second, the shadow demands a price. You can use it, but you can't control it forever. Eventually, it takes over. And when it does, it doesn't care about your companies, your reputation, or your billions. It just wants to fight. The difference between shadow integration and shadow possession is awareness. Integration means you know the shadow is there. You choose when to use it. You don't let it drive. Possession means the shadow is in control, and you're telling yourself you're choosing. Elon believes he's in control. That every tweet, every firing, every late-night decision is strategic. But the pattern suggests otherwise. Remember our Trust Your Gut video. We talked about the difference between intuition and fear. Intuition is calm, clear, grounded. Fear is reactive, defensive, desperate. Elon's late-night tweets aren't intuition. They're fear. The shadow's fear. The fear that if he stops fighting, even for a moment, someone will take it all away again, just like his father said they would. So here's the question for you. Not about Elon, about yourself. Where is your shadow driving you? What childhood wound are you still trying to heal by proving people wrong? What part of you needs conflict to feel alive? Because genius doesn't require darkness, but unintegrated darkness will always demand genius as payment. Elon Musk built rockets and electric cars, but he's still fighting the bullies who threw him down the stairs, still trying to prove his father wrong, still waiting for the betrayal he knows is coming. And until he faces that, the shadow will keep burning everything he builds. The question is, will you let yours do the same? If you want to understand more about the shadow and how it forms, watch our Shadow Self video. We break down exactly how childhood creates these patterns, and more importantly, how to recognize them in yourself. In our next video, we're looking at someone who did what Elon couldn't. Mike Tyson. From the youngest heavyweight champion in history, to prison, to redemption, how he faced his shadow, integrated it, and came back not as a fighter, but as a sage. Subscribe so you don't miss it. If you want to go deeper into the psychology behind this, I recommend a few books. Man and His Symbols by Carl Jung is the best introduction to shadow work and why we hide parts of ourselves. Elon Musk by Walter Isaacson is the most comprehensive biography with access to Elon himself, his family, and his companies. The Innovators by Walter Isaacson puts Elon in context with other tech visionaries and shows the pattern of genius and self-destruction. When Genius, failed by Roger Lowenstein, isn't about Elon, but it's about brilliant people who couldn't see their own blind spots. A cautionary tale. All links are in the description. Some are affiliate links, which means if you buy through them, it supports this channel at no extra cost to you. I only recommend books I've actually read and believe are valuable. If you don't have time to read full books, I use Blinkist to get 15-minute summaries of key ideas. You can try it free through the link in the description. Audible is also great if you prefer audiobooks. If this video made you think differently about Elon or about your own patterns, let me know in the comments. What part of your shadow are you most afraid to face? I read every comment. And if you found this valuable, hit the like button. It helps the algorithm show this to more people who need to hear it. Subscribe for weekly deep dives into psychology, the shadow, and the patterns that run your life. New videos every Monday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.